Hi, welcome back. My name is Brittany and today's video is a book haul. This is my last book haul for 2024. This haul actually is really from August to the end of 2024, and this includes audiobooks as well. If I haven't read the book, which a couple of these I have, I will be sure to tell you about them, but let's just continue to close out 2024 with a book haul. I haven't done one of these in forever. I have a great stack, so let's just jump right in. Let's kick off with audiobooks. I purchased 5 audiobooks the last couple months. We are going to start off with The Husbands. This is by Holly Gramazio, and I really enjoyed this audiobook. I thought this was a ton of fun. We are following our main character. She comes home after being out one night, and there's a husband, and her house is a little bit different, and there's pictures of them, and she's like, who the hell is this guy? She quickly learns they are married, and then he goes in the attic to get something, and down comes a different husband. And little things around her life change. She realizes that every time a husband goes up there, a new one comes down. Her life, her career, her friendships, relationships, everything is a little bit different. And she has to figure out what the heck to do about this magical attic and all these husbands. I thought the audiobook narrator did a really fantastic job, and I was happy I had picked this up. The next audiobook I picked up was A Sorceress Comes to Call, and this is by T. Kingfisher. This follows our main character, Cordelia, and she is a 14-year-old girl living with her mother. And her mother's a little bit interesting. She's a sorceress, but she's really not that motherly, maternal. She doesn't give Cordelia the warm and fuzzies. If anything, Cordelia's quite scared of her mom. Her mother wants to have wealth and power and status, and so she creates this grand scheme to end up at this lord's house. And we get to meet his sister, Hester, who is in her 50s. Hester and Cordelia are our two main point of views. As Hester realizes something's going on, why are Cordelia and her mom here? What's the aim? She knows that her brother's gullible and has money, and so she's trying to protect her brother. But her and Cordelia end up having a really nice friendship while they try to figure out what to do about Cordelia's sorceress mom. I did enjoy this. I thought this was fun for a fall-time read, but it was a little bit on the slower side. Again, not my favorite T. Kingfisher, but overall I had fun listening to it when I did. I actually got a 2-for-1 credit deal on Audible. I got Baby X and Do You Remember Being Born? Baby X is by Kiara Peikoff, and this is actually one of the Goodreads Awards Choice nominees for sci-fi. And I really liked this one. I thought this was so fun. So this book is set, I haven't actually reviewed this book yet, so if you're watching this, you're getting a little sneak peek. This is set in a world in the 2040s where we don't have babies the natural way anymore. If you actually have sex and have a baby, that's very rare and a little bit frowned upon that you would play Russian roulette with your genetics and with your offspring. A lot of people, when they are ready to have a child, they go to a clinic, they have their embryos, and they get tested and almost pitted against each other, not only for genetic diseases, but also empathy, creativity, athleticism, and the parents get to pick their best one during selection. The kind of other cool sci-fi tech in this world is that anyone can have a biologically their own child, whether you're male or female, same-sex couples. You just need any kind of DNA, hair, tissue, blood, anything, saliva, and they can turn your whatever into a sperm or an egg. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. The technology has come that far. So that's kind of the world we're in. That technology has been abused, and so there is a black market called the Vault, where you could buy stolen DNA from your favorite famous person or celebrity and buy that and have that turned into a sperm or an egg and have a DNA, biological child of your favorite celebrity. Wild. It would be theirs, but there's people who just steal DNA, water bottles, cups, utensils, and that's how they get this DNA. So we are kind of following just that situation. We follow 3 female protagonists, and in the audiobook they're all different voices, and I thought that was really fun. We follow one woman who is pregnant, and then we follow Ember, and she is the fiance to Tristan, someone, a famous guy in this world. And the pregnant woman comes up to this couple and is like, I think I have your baby. And that just obviously throws the couple for a loop, because they've done everything they can to try to mitigate his DNA from getting out there. And then we follow a third protagonist who is a young woman in her, I think, early 20s. We get to see kind of a different side of this world as well. Her mother is in her 60s or 70s and is going to have a child, which is not unheard of, but it's a lot easier to have children even into your 60s. So she's struggling with being 20 and having her like elderly mother have a child. But she also works for a journalism company who has covered a lot of this like bioterrorism, stealing DNA, celebrity stuff. And so she's trying to kind of get a big break with this journalism company. And they all end up coming together. And it was a really fun listen. I thought the science in this was so cool. All the talks of genetics and children and babies and like the ethics of like how would it feel to have been chosen out of all the different embryos and like what does that mean? Like if you don't hold up to your greatness, are you a failure? Like there just was a lot of interesting conversations. A really, really fun audiobook, and I definitely recommend if you like the sci-fi stuff like that. The next one I purchased, I need to actually review. Because I have not read this one yet. So Do You Remember Being Born is by Shawn Michaels, and we have a dual narration with Lisa Bunting and Alex Paxton Beasley. So this is following Marion Farmer. She's a world-renowned poet and a legend in the making. Only now, at 75 years old, is she beginning to believe in the security of her success. Unfortunately, a poet's accomplishments don't necessarily translate to capital, and as her adult son struggles to buy his first home, her confidence in her choices begin to fray. Marion's pristine life of mind, for which she sacrificed nearly all personal relationships, from romance to friendship to motherhood, has come at a cost. Then comes a cryptic invitation from a tech company. Come to California, the invitation beckons, and write with a machine. The company's lucrative offer for Marion to co-author a poem in a historic partnership with her cutting-edge poetry bot named Charlotte chafes at everything she believes about art making as an individual pursuit. Yet it is a second chance she can't resist. And so to California she goes, a sellout and a skeptic, for an encounter that will unsettle her life, her work, and even her understanding of kinship. I think this sounds really interesting. I've read quite a few AI things lately, and I don't know, I'm excited. The reviews on Audible said it was really fun to have this dual narration, and I think we get Marion and the AI going back and forth, so I just think that sounds really fun, and I'm so excited to pick this up soon. Lastly, I did pre-order A Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. This is narrated by Julia Whalen, and I will be listening to this. This comes out later this year, and I just can't wait for it to automatically download. That's enough about audiobooks. Let's talk about this big stack I have in front of me. It's so big. I have a couple more too. Okay, so starting off with The Unmothers. This is by Leslie J. Anderson. This is a folk horror. Well, it wasn't super horrifying to me, but this is a folk mystery, just kind of small town story following our main character, Marshall. She is a journalist, and she had taken some time off after the death of her husband. She's now kind of back in the workforce, but her job has sent her to the small town of Rayford to investigate this really crazy, wacky little story. Kind of like low stakes, but also just like to kind of get your feet wet, get back out there. The claim she is investigating is that a horse has given birth to a healthy human baby boy. What she finds is actually a darker community with secrets and drugs and murder when she and the townspeople stumble across two murdered people and dead horses. So there's definitely something very sinister going on in Rayford. This is a debut, and I did quite like it. It read a little bit slow. There were a lot more characters than I was anticipating, but overall I liked the vibe. It was weird. I wish it were a little bit weirder. But if you are looking for a creepy town full of secrets, definitely give this a go. Next up, No One Is Talking About This by Patricia Lockwood. I found this at a bookstore in Homer, Alaska. It was a staff pick, and I've chatted about this book a few times. Really, it was the format that caught my attention, and like the first paragraph was actually quite interesting. It's very broken up and has a really unique structure throughout the book. I don't think enough people are talking about this, personally. And this book has also just kind of sparked my interest in Booker books, because I really liked what this book did. So what is it about? What's going on? So this book is interesting. I don't think it'll be for everyone, but if you can give it a go, be open-minded, I think you'd really enjoy the process. This book, it kind of reads like Twitter poetry. Like internet memes are referenced throughout the entirety of this book. And it's very stream of consciousness, just random thoughts that our main character is having. Our main character remains unnamed, and she is a social media influencer, and we just get to follow her kind of day to day, and as she's posting online and having these thoughts that are sometimes profound, just sometimes garbage, and just her postings online. One day she gets a text from her mom, though, that says, "Something's wrong, how soon can you get here?" And from there, the tone of the book shifts, and we get to figure out what no one is talking about. I had an interesting time. I wouldn't say I loved my reading experience, but that's mainly because I didn't understand the memes. So I will link an article down below that explains a lot of the memes if you're just not up to date on some of that internet references. But once I got to the end, I cried. It was so good. And it was one of those things where I'm really glad I didn't DNF it. I kept going because what the thing is that brings our main character back home was so heartbreaking and devastating, but powerful. And like, oh God, we're not gonna cry. We're not gonna cry. We're gonna be just fine. But I really liked this. And yeah, I have not stopped thinking about this book since I read it like at least 3 months ago. Like, I've not stopped thinking about it. I want to reread it. I think the physical book might be a little bit better because then you could see how things are broken up. But I did preview the audiobook and I thought the narrator's voice did a really nice job. So highly recommend this book if you're looking for an interesting read, like emotional impact, something different structurally. I think you would enjoy this. Next up is Madwoman by Chelsea Beaker. I think this cover is so pretty. I really do love this cover. This was kind of a cover buy for me, but when I read the inside, I was really interested. This is a gripping story of motherhood, mother loss, and the brutal, mighty things women do to keep themselves and each other alive. Clove has gone to extremes to keep her past a secret. Thanks to her lies, she's landed the life of her dreams, complete with a safe husband and 2 adoring children who will never know the terror that was routine in her childhood. If her buried anxiety threatens to breach the surface, Clove, if that's really her name, focuses on finding the right supplement and the right gratitude meditation. But when she receives a letter from a woman's prison in California, her past comes screeching into the present, entangling her in a dangerous game with memory and the people she thought she'd outrun. As the story races between her precarious present day life in Portland, Oregon, and her childhood in Waikiki high-rise with her mother and father, Clove is forced to finally unravel the defining day of her life. How did she survive that day? And what will it take to end the cycle of violence? Will the truth undo her, or could it ultimately save her? And I actually remember flipping through and reading the first page. I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting. The first sentence is, "The world is not made for mothers, yet mothers made the world." And I'm just like, okay. Like, I think this is going to be great, and I can't wait to read this. I am currently working on this one. This is A Life's Work by Rachel Cusk, and this is her nonfiction. This is basically her, not really a diary, but her experience becoming a mom. She has 2 children, and she explores motherhood. Motherhood is this really interesting thing where it seems like everyone loves it and you should do it, but maybe there's more than like isn't getting talked about. So I am about this far, really only 50 pages, but I've underlined so many things that just hit in her writing. Oh man. I think my favorite one is this one. Pregnancy lasts for 260 days, 40 weeks, 9 months, or 3 trimesters, depending on how you choose to count it. The medical profession counts in weeks. The general public, for whom other people's pregnancies pass like life, count in months. I don't know who counts in trimesters, teachers perhaps, or women on their 5th baby. Only those who suffer, people wrongfully imprisoned, people with broken hearts count in days. Like, oh, she just has so many like little gut punches, and I'm really enjoying this so far. It makes me even more excited to check out her fiction, the Outline trilogy, so I'm enjoying it. It might make me cry, we'll see. Next up, I was feeling like a short story collection moment, so I grabbed Any Person is the Only Self, and this is by Eliza Gabert. Really, like, the first essay I thought was very interesting. I haven't continued reading, but the first one just had this really cute idea. So basically, in the first essay, she has a local library, and she just talks about this shelf of recently returned books that the library has established. And she's just like, it was so lovely to just see, you know, like a diet book, a cookbook, like a classic, and then you go to sewing, and like just a random assortment of books, like sci-fi, fantasy, just all these things put together without any sort of agenda. And she just was like perusing the shelf, wondering who these people were, who had checked out these books, just this cute little shelf of randomness. And I just really liked that idea. So hopefully I will keep working on this essay collection. Another short story collection I have is Mystery Lights. This is by Lena Valencia, And I, again, have read some of this. I don't know, I just need to finish these. But the few stories I have read, I really enjoyed. These are kind of weirder stories. An influencer attempts to derail a viral TV marketing campaign with her violent cult following. A marriage between two ghost hunters is threatened when one of them loses her ability to see the spirits. The lives of a famous painter in the twilight of her career and a teenage UFO enthusiast converge when a mystery glowing orb appears in their small desert town. A slasher flick screenwriter looking for inspiration escapes a pack of wild dogs only to find herself locked in an SUV with a strange man beside her. From all too real horror of a sexual predator on college to a lost sister transformed by cave-dwelling creatures, her debut story collection grapples with terrors both familiar and fantastic. So, I was enjoying what I was reading, I just need to finish it like the other one. Next up is The Little Book of Hygge. Again, I don't know what my problem is. I've started this one too. I need to finish these things. But this is Danish Secrets to Living Happy by Mike Waking, who is the CEO of Happiness at the Research Institute in Copenhagen. The Danish people are incredibly happy, and they have like such shitty winters, like cold and dark and sad. And so I wanted to investigate this because while Alaska winters aren't as harsh, I do think there is some comparison. So if I don't finish this by January, I might just put it back on the TBR for this winter so I can try to implement some of these Hygge ways of living. But I was enjoying the little bit I did get into. So this one is actually an arc, and only because I think I was at the bookstore at the right time. I'm not cool enough to get sent arcs yet. But this is Promises and Pomegranates by Sav R. Miller. I had a bookstore and they accidentally got like a wrong shipment. So that bookseller had a bunch of these. And so I did get one. But this is following a doctor who's 32. His cold, emotionless existence gives him an edge as a fixer and an in-house physician for the mafia. And then we have Elena Ritchie, his boss's 23-year-old daughter, and it sounds like he becomes obsessed. I don't know if it's a stalker romance, but just the vibes are giving me dark romance. Mafia romance. So, I don't know. Could be kind of fun. Could be fun. This book is so beautiful. This is The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean, and this was a book I had actually gotten in a Christmas book exchange. I gave one of my favorite cookbooks out that I have been loving, and this is what I got back. This is actually the prettiest book I own. It's so pretty, and there's all this cover art on the inside. Like, okay, there's this. Let's just do the thing. Let's just do the book thing, right? The front, the back. And like, look at the inside. Oh my gosh. Those birds are stunning. They're so pretty. So this book follows the head phoenix keeper at the world-renowned zoo for magical creatures. And it looks like we have a hotshot griffin keeper at the same zoo. And this might be enemies to lovers. The hotshot griffin keeper happens to be her arch rival from college, Luciana, an annoyingly brooding and insufferable know-it-all with the grace of a basilisk and the face of a goddess who's convinced that Elia's beloved phoenix would serve their cause better as an attractive performer rather than as a passive conservation exhibit. With the world watching and the threat of poachers looming, Elia's success is no longer merely a matter of keeping her job. She's a keeper of the phoenix, and the future of the species now rests on her shoulders. There's just one thing to do. Remember, she's not alone. So this sounds like a queer little zoo magical creature story, and I think that sounds so lovely. So thank you, Courtney, for the book exchange. I love it. Next, I picked up The Frozen River by Ariel Lahan, and I've seen this book everywhere. And so I'm very excited to get to it. This is taking place in Maine in 1978. We follow Martha Ballard, and she is summoned to examine a body. As a midwife and healer, her diary is a record of every birth, death, crime, and debacle that unfolds in the close-knit community of Hollowell. Months earlier, Martha documented the details of an alleged rape committed by two of the town's most respected gentlemen, one of whom has now been found dead in the ice. But when a male physician declares his death accidental, Martha is forced to investigate her own. For one winter, as the trial nears and prejudices mount, Martha doggedly pursues the truth. Her diary lands at the center of the scandal, implicating those she loves and compelling Martha to decide where her loyalties lie. I think this sounds so good. And I would like to get to this while still kind of cold out, so I can't wait. I've heard amazing things about this. Next up, 2666, or 2666 I don't actually know the preferred way to say that. This is by Roberto Bolano. And really, I picked this up at a used bookstore because I saw it talked about online and I'm easily influenced. This is translated from Spanish, and actually this is interesting. This was published after he died. Okay, so this is like our 3 stories it sounds like we're following. 3 academics on the trail of a reclusive German author, a New York reporter on his first Mexican assignment, a widowed philosopher, a police detective in love with an elusive older woman. These are among the searchers drawn to the border city of Santa Teresa, where over the course of the decade, hundreds of women have disappeared. Ooh, maybe a little mystery? I don't know. This sounded really interesting. I found it like as soon as I saw the video or like the book recommended, and I thought it sounded cool, so it came home with me. This next one I'm excited for. This is The Lost Animal by Ramona Azabel. And this was recommended to me on Reddit when I mentioned really enjoying Claire Oshetsky. She wrote Poor Dear and Chouette. I mentioned I really like the weirdness, the animal kind of themes in those books. So this author was recommended to me along the same lines of Claire Oshetsky. And this is following teenage sisters, Eve and Vera. They never imagined their summer vacation would be spent in the Arctic, tagging along their mother's scientific exploration. But there's a lot about their lives lately that hasn't been going to plan. And truth be told, their single mother might not be so happy either. Now in Siberia with a bunch of serious biologists, Eve and Vera are just bored enough to cause trouble. Fooling around in the permafrost, they accidentally discover a perfectly preserved 4,000-year-old baby mammoth. And things start to finally get interesting. The discovery sets off a surprising chain of events, leading mother and daughters to go rogue, pinging from the slips of Siberia to the shores of Ireland to an exotic animal farm in Italy, and resulting in the birth of a creature that could change the world, or at least the family. I think that sounds so good. It explores the possibilities and perils of the human imagination on a changing planet, what it's like to be a woman in a field dominated by men, and how a wondrous discovery can be best enjoyed with family, even teenagers. I think that sounds lovely. Sounds weird, and it sounds like this author might be a little odd too, so I can't wait. I have not read these last 3. I picked up Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. He was the winner of the 2023 Booker Prize, and this is following a scientist and mother of 4, Eilish, and she has 2 officers who show up on her front step from the secret police, and they have arrived to interrogate her husband. The life as she knows it and the one she loves disappears before her eyes. She must contend with the dystopian logic of her new unraveling country. How far will she go to save her family? And what or who is she willing to leave behind? I think this sounds so good, and he did like a Passover speech from his, end of his reign for 2023 to Samantha Harvey, who won with Orbital for 2024. And just the way he spoke was just so eloquent and beautiful. I was like, I want to check out your book. So I did pick this up. Can't wait to check it out. I have another short story collection. This is Wednesday's Child by Yi Young Lee. I just think this cover is really cute. It's simple. And this, I don't know, some of the stories in here are really interesting. The first one says, a grieving mother makes a spreadsheet of everyone she's lost. Elsewhere, a professor develops a troubled intimacy with a hairdresser. And every year, a restless woman receives an email from a strange man twice her age and several states away. In the stories of Wednesday's Child, people strive for an ordinary existence until doing so becomes unsustainable, until the surface cracks and the grand mysterious forces, death, violence, and estrangement come to light. I think this sounds really interesting, and yeah, I'm hoping to be in a little bit of a short story era, so excited to check this one out. I found this book. I think this sounds really cool, and this is an International Booker Prize. There's the Booker Prize and the International Booker Prize, and this is Time Shelter. This one is translated from the Bulgarian, which I've never read before, but this sounds really fascinating, especially maybe if you're in healthcare. So in Zurich, there's this man named Gostin, and he opens a clinic for the past, offering a treatment inspired for Alzheimer's. Each floor reproduces a decade in minute detail, helping patients synchronize with their internal time. But as the charade becomes more convincing, an increasingly number of healthy people seek out the clinic as a time shelter, resulting in an unexpected conundrum whereby the past begins to invade the present. I think that sounds really interesting. My friend gifted me 2 Robin Hobb books. Ooh, I have the Farseer trilogy. I have the UK covers. I just like these older ones, and so if I can find them, I think that'd be kind of fun. And then I have not heard of Shaman's Crossing, so she found this. They were both like maybe $1, if that. So I had her snag them for me, and I'm so happy. because we started our Robin Hobb era last year, so excited to keep going. Okay, last thing to show you. This is so cool. So this bag here is part of a local library. They do a sale like every month, and books are super cheap, like quarters, dollars. Like they're so cheap. And so what I did is I bought this bag for $20. I put all these books in here I'm about to show you, and then anytime I go back and buy books, I refill the bag for $5. So like it would be 5 books if I was just buying them, or $5 for like all the books I can shove in here. So I found a really good deal and like a good haul. Some of these I couldn't pass up. Okay, I don't know if this is the correct order, but I found the entire Twilight Saga. Like, are you kidding me? All hardcover Twilight books. And they look like they're in decent condition. Even if they are a little banged up, that's fine. But I could not pass this up. I have not actually read the Twilight series as a teen or as an adult. I've watched the movie a ton of times, but I think it'd be really fun to read the books on here. And I just couldn't pass it up. Like, I put it in my bag and it sounded great. So I got this series, and then probably like one of my best finds ever, all the little ladies in the store were like jealous, and I was like, hell yeah. I found the entire quartet of Elena Ferrante, starting with My Brilliant Friend. All 4 of these went in the bag. I'm so excited. I found the whole series. Like, are you kidding me? One of the ladies like saw this book, like I was carrying it, and she's like, what is that? Like, I feel like I've seen that. And I was like, oh yeah, it was it's like, oh, Times just named it like their best book of the century. And look, I found the whole series. How cool. And she was like gazing longingly at them, at the fact I found them first. I was so excited. So I would love to get into this, and I can't believe I found it. I was so thrilled. And lastly, I found this, like, this looks brand new to me. The Overstory by Richard Powers. I kind of forgot what this book is about. This is the story of a handful of people who learn how to see the world and who are drawn up into its unfolding catastrophe. I would like a little bit more information. Ooh, what's this say? Ho ho, holy moly, what a year. Glad 2020 is over. Love you so much. Yeah, thank God 2020 is over. Anyways, I don't know. This book has caught my eye. I was really shocked to see it. So excited to add this to the shelf. That is it. That is my final book haul for 2024. I've already bought a few things for 2025. So we'll see how much I buy, and I'll be sure to share you when I have a nice big stack so you can chat through all these books again. I want to know what your favorite purchase was in 2024, or maybe a book you're looking to buy this year. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!